Global slang, stop it. We are looking at Slang Through the Ages, a historical perspective. Chapter 5, Regional Slang, a tour of the weird and wacky. And the three subtitles are American Slang from Coast to Coast, British Slang, The Queen's English Gets a Makeover, and number 3, Global Slang, What Happens When Cultures Collide. This sounds interesting. So, the first one is American Slang from Coast to Coast. American slang is a colorful tapestry woven from the rich threads of regional dialects, cultural influences, and the sheer creativity of its speakers. From the sunny shores of California to the bustling streets of New York, slang evolves faster than a cat meme goes viral. Each coast claims its own quirky expressions, each state for that matter. I mean, it's a very regional thing, very much so, that often leave outsiders scratching their heads in confusion. Ever heard someone say, "That's the bee's knees"? Not very often. You might think they're talking about a particularly impressive insect, but in actuality, it's just a quirky way of saying something is fantastic. So buckle up as we embark on a hilarious journey through the linguistic landscape of American slang. And actually, the bee's knees comes from the Prohibition era, back in the 1930s, 1920s, 1930s, when the youth of the time were just looking for phrases that made no sense just to be wild and wacky. So each one of these subtitles has 5 paragraphs, 15 paragraphs total for each chapter. So here is paragraph 2. Starting on the West Coast, where surfers and techies reign supreme, you'll encounter phrases that feel like they were plucked from a laid-back dream. Gnarly, once reserved for treacherous waves, has crept into everyday conversation to describe anything from a particularly complicated math problem to a Tuesday that just won't end. Meanwhile, Californians might toss around lit to describe a party that's absolutely buzzing, which is a far cry from its original meaning of being on fire. One can only wonder if the term was coined after a particularly wild bonfire night where someone misjudged the amount of lighter fluid. That's quite possible. Paragraph 3. Traveling westward, we land in the heart of New York City, where the slang is as fast-paced as the subway system. New Yorkers have a unique flair for turning ordinary words into something that packs a punch. Bodega is not just a corner store, it's the sacred realm of coffee, sandwiches, and a million little treasures you never knew you needed. Here you might hear someone say, "I'm dead," not because they've met an untimely end, but because they're utterly exhausted from running the city's gauntlet of life. The contrast between the chill West Coast vibe, where we are currently, and the frenetic energy of the East is a testament to how geography shapes our language and our lives. And I'll also say that here on the West Coast, in order to communicate with the East Coast, which is 3 hours ahead, at 8 a.m., it's 5 a.m. And so typically we wake up at 5 a.m. for that purpose, which means if we're communicating with the West Coast, then an 8-hour day ends at 2 p.m., which is handy. So that's kind of cool. Paragraph 4, gendered slang differences add another layer of hilarity to the mix. While bro may be the go-to term for a male friend on one coast, you'll find the ladies flipping the script with girl boss to celebrate their empowered selves. It's a classic case of same game, different players. You might hear a guy saying, "That's so sus," when he's skeptical about a friend's choice of snack, while a girl might describe a particularly dramatic hair flip as serving looks. These playful distinctions serve as a reminder that language is not just a tool for communication, it's also a playground where identities are expressed and stereotypes are hilariously upended. Now, I've also heard girls referring to each other as bro, and I've heard guys referring to their girlfriends as bro or calling them bro, this and that. Bro, did you really think that was going to happen? When a guy is talking to a girl, he calls her bro, whatever, just to keep it uniform, I guess. Paragraph 5. As we traverse the American landscape, it's clear that slang is a living, breathing entity that reflects the quirks of its speakers. Whether you're chilling in a California beach town or navigating the concrete jungle of New York, the slang you encounter is a snapshot of culture, humor, and social dynamics. So next time you hear someone say, "That's a vibe," just know that it's not only a way to describe a mood, but also a reminder that no matter where you are in this vast country, everyone is just trying to find their groove in a world full of colorful expressions. British slang. The Queen's English gets a makeover. Paragraph 1. British slang has taken the Queen's English and given it a cheeky makeover, transforming the language of the monarchy into something that can make even a stiff upper lip quiver with laughter. Picture this: the once dignified corridors of Buckingham Palace echoing with terms like gobsmacked and chuffed to bits. It's as if the language had a wild night out, danced on the tables at the local pub, and woke up with a hangover and a new set of colorful expressions. The transformation is not just entertaining, it reflects a cultural evolution that's as rich and varied as the British countryside. Paragraph 2 or 7. Let's dive into this colorful lexicon, shall we? Words like bloke and bird have become staples in the British vernacular, but not without a bit of controversy. Controversy, as the Brits would say. While bloke is a charming term for a man, bird has fluttered into contention, often seen as a diminutive way to refer to women. It's almost like the language is playing a game of hopscotch, jumping from one meaning to another, often leaving us wondering if we've landed in the right square. The way slang evolves can be both hilarious and perplexing, like trying to follow a plot twist in a British soap opera. Paragraph 3 or 8. The historical evolution of slang terms in Britain showcases the creativity and inventiveness of its speakers. From Cockney rhyming slang, where trouble and strife means wife, to the modern day use of terms like lit or fam, it's clear that the British have mastered the art of linguistic playfulness. It's as if they got together for a grand tea party, armed with cups of Earl Grey and a desire to spice up the conversation. The result, a delightful mismatch of phrases that could leave even the most seasoned linguist scratching their head in delightful confusion. Paragraph 9. Gendered slang differences add another layer to this linguistic romp. While lad and lass might appear harmless, the implications behind these terms can be as tangled as a pair of earphones after a long trip in your pocket. Men might be lads, boasting about their escapades in a jovial manner, while women are often cast in a different light, with terms that can range from empowering to patronizing. It's like watching a comedy duo where the punchlines vary based on who's delivering them, reminding us that the evolution of slang is not just a matter of words, it's a reflection of societal norms and attitudes. Paragraph 10. In the end, British slang is a reminder that language is a living, breathing entity constantly adapting to the whims of culture, humor, and social dynamics. Whether one's knackered after a long day or having a laugh, these expressions serve as a bridge connecting people through shared experiences and chuckles. So the next time you hear someone drop a casual "bloody hell" or "taking the mickey," remember that behind those words lies a rich tapestry of history and humor, proving that even the Queen's English can let its hair down from time to time. Global slang. What happens when cultures collide? Stop it. Global slang is like that unexpected party crasher who shows up at the door with mismatched socks and a questionable sense of humor. When cultures collide, slang gets tossed into a blender, and the result is a frothy concoction of words that can make you laugh, scratch your head, or maybe even cringe. Take, for instance, the delightful confusion that arises when an American says they're bummed out, while an Australian thinks they're talking about a leisurely day at the beach. The beauty of global slang lies in its ability to create a universal language of laughter, if you understand the punchline, that is. And chapter 12, as cultures intermingle and influence one another, slang terms evolve faster than you can say cultural exchange. Imagine the scene. A group of teenagers in Tokyo adopting the latest slang from hip-hop artists in New York while simultaneously peppering it with their own local flair. The result, a beautiful mess of words that can leave the uninitiated wondering if they've actually stepped into a sci-fi movie. Just when you think you've nailed down what lit means, someone throws in fire, and before you know it, you're not just confused, you're completely lost in translation. Next paragraph, 13. Gendered slang differences add another layer of hilarity to this global wordplay. Picture a conversation between two friends, one using the word badass to describe a formidable woman, while the other is still stuck in the girl power era with spunky. The clash of terms can lead to some pretty ridiculous misunderstandings. Who knew that being sassy in one culture could translate to rude in another? It's like a game of telephone where the message gets warped into something that would make your grandmother blush, if she could decipher it at all. Paragraph 14. The historical evolution of these terms is equally amusing. Slang has always been a bit of a rebel, shunning the formalities of language like a teenager rebelling against a curfew. Once upon a time, cool simply referred to temperature, but through the ages, it morphed into a term that can describe everything from fashion to someone's personality. Who would have thought that a word so innocuous could become the Swiss Army knife of slang? Well, it's a lot better than some other words I've heard used to become the Swiss Army knife of language. One starts with F, and it's not fire truck. As cultures collide, these words take on lives of their own, sometimes becoming unrecognizable in the process, much like that cold pizza you left in the fridge. What was once a glorious meal is now a mystery. Paragraph 15. In this whirlwind of global slang, we find ourselves in a linguistic carnival where every term brings a new surprise. So the next time you hear someone drop a term that sounds like it's been pulled from a pop culture time capsule, remember that you're witnessing the marvelous dance of cultures, and maybe even a few missteps along the way. As we continue to navigate this chaotic yet joyous world of slang, let's embrace the laughter, the confusion, and the delightful absurdity that comes with it. After all, nothing brings people together quite like a shared chuckle over the meaning of salty in different corners of the globe. And I'll also say, everything comes back in fashion. And especially with Renaissance fairs, the Renaissance fair attendees dress for the period and they use period language, revitalizing those old slang words. The slang word huzzah comes to mind. I don't think that's quite Renaissance period, but rather colonial period, 1600s. People were saying things like huzzah to mean cool or yay or huzzah. It was an exclamation of excitement. Chapter 6 is next. See you there.